an 8-part series that explores how AI is being used across the research workflow and even how it's exploding it. In each episode, I'll talk with someone who's volunteered to show a thing, so screens on. If you haven't seen it yet, the series pairs with the How to AI UXR map, a 5-page map that will help you pinpoint your AI maturity level and offers practical, real-world applications you can adapt for your research systems. Find the link in the show notes. I'm Kate Towsey, and this series is brought to you by Strela, the AI-powered customer research platform. In this episode, I'm joined by Daniel Gottlieb, head of ResearchOps at Microsoft CoreAI. Daniel's story starts with play. He built a video game for his kids and a website with his dad, and then brought his newfound vibing confidence to his work at Microsoft. Daniel shares all those neat tools and toys, but he also shares a lab room booking app, a research impact presentation, and a UXR library that pulls research together without forcing researchers to change how they work. If you've been wondering how to dive into AI, you're in the right place. Daniel, it is always such a pleasure to be able to have a chat with you. What a nice excuse.
Great to see you, Kate. I'm excited to do this.
So you have made some really incredible things. I think they're incredible. I had a sneak preview with AI, and give us a list of what you're going to share today. Both personal and professional things you've made.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a mix of both, and the personal is always the fun stuff. So I'll be sharing some stuff I made for the UXR team. So I'm going to be sharing like a calendar booking app, a presentation I made for our finance team, and I'm going to share a UXR library app that I made that is basically a research repository that spans across our whole team in an AI-powered research repository. And then I'll also share some personal stuff that I've made that, honestly, as fun as it was also a way for me to learn how to make the professional stuff. So I'll share a game I made for my kids, and I'll share a website that I made with and for my dad.
So cool. So tell me, I know there's a bit of a backstory to this. I feel like the story starts with your personal stuff. You've already hinted to that.
Yeah.
What is the backstory to these things you've built?
Well, I'll even take a step further back before I even built anything, because the story really begins where I think a lot of people either are feeling today or were feeling a few months ago, which is I started to see everybody around me building with AI, and I didn't feel like I could do it. I'm in CoreAI at Microsoft, so I'm in a very technical area. I'm in a very technical group. We build developer tools. So the people I work with, the researchers, the designers, beyond just the PMs and engineers, everybody knows how to use developer tools. They're all able to program and build things. And research ops is never something that I needed to be able to do, and I felt okay with that. I thought it would be something I'd love to be able to do eventually, but I've always felt like as soon as I started to try and learn a little bit about coding, it was immediately like, oh, this is beyond me. I don't even know where to begin, and it just didn't seem worth my time. Then, as we all know, like AI started helping people develop and code and build things, and I started seeing people around me build more and more, and it was intriguing, but never something that I felt like I still knew enough to even start working on it. That hit kind of a breaking point when eventually my leadership was telling everyone, you should be coding, you should be building, if you're not building, you're behind. And I started to feel like everybody is passing me up. This needs to be something that I get started with. So I reached out to a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, Ben Hanrahan, and I said, hey, you got to help me because I'm supposed to be building, I'm supposed to be coding, and I can't get started. And he told me, all right, we'll spend a little bit of time getting you into the tools, letting you play around with it so that you feel comfortable with it. Because part of it is just like, I don't know the language. People are saying some things that seem really basic, like, oh, you just need to install VS Code, GitHub Copilot CLI. And I'm like, that's it.
What?
There's so many acronyms in there, and I don't know what it means. And I needed someone to really hold my hand through it because I didn't even know where to search. I didn't even know how to begin it. So a friend of mine helped me walk me through just like literally opening up. So VS Code is the coding editor that I used, and he helped me install something called GitHub Copilot CLI, which basically was a way for me to chat in the coding environment. So I didn't even need to know what I'm asking for. He helped me set up the basics. And he was smart enough to say, like, not I'm going to help you build something. Say, what are you interested in building? What do you want to be able to do? And I was like, well, I need to be able to look at a table that summarizes some of the recent studies that people have completed. We have them all listed out in our a GitHub project tracker. And so he basically said, well, you tell it that, ask it that, put in the instructions, point it to the website you want to get from. And after a little bit, it popped up on my browser that I had built this little table that showed the recent projects. It wasn't much, it wasn't fancy, but it was just really cool. Like, oh, okay, I can build this. And it was this really nice moment of like, I can actually do something. I'm actually can code something. It wasn't that sexy. It wasn't that like mind blowing. And like, to be honest, the amount of time it took me to do was way longer than it would take me to actually look up this information and write it down. But it still felt like I knew the system and the tools. What then happened was I started to think, okay, well, what else can I do in here? What can I play around with in here? I'm somebody who, like, personally, like, as you can see behind me, like, that's an old arcade. Like, I love video games. I love gaming. So I thought, like, well, I've always had this dream of being able to build a video game, but I don't know how to do that. I can't code, but I'm like, why not see if this is something I can do? So I didn't do it during work hours because honestly, I never felt like I had time during work hours to learn how to code with AI. It felt like something that would take so long I wouldn't have time for it, even though it's important. But I was interested to see, could I build myself a game? So I, at night, started playing around with it and seeing if I could build something. And I built, here, I'll pull it up. And it was much easier than I expected for something like this.
I mean, I can imagine gaming designers shivering right now going, oh my gosh.
I mean, it's simple, but it's so, so exhilarating to be able to feel like, oh, this is something that I had this vision for what I wanted it to be. And suddenly I have the capability to do that. So let's share my screen. Let's see, is it popping up?
It's popping up. I can see it.
Okay, so this is my dog, Tootsie Roll. I made this I tell everyone I made it for my kids. I have a 7-year-old and 10-year-old girls. I definitely made it for myself. But like, I made this game that, we could play where you're like, it's jumping around as Tootsie Roll. But what's so fun is like, this looks like my dog. She's allergic to chicken. Here's a chicken bone. So she eats it. She throws up.
Oh, no.
Let's see. That's her name. Like I said, her name's Tootsie Roll. We get the her Tootsie Roll power up. Anyway, so like, this was like really fun to me, and you could see I'm excited talking about it. I could probably spend the rest of this time here just talking about this silly little game, but like, that was this moment of like, oh, I can build this, I can do this, I can do something way more than I thought I could. It was so easy that I was like, oh, this is something I could definitely bring into work. Right now I can actually feel like, okay, now I can jump into this at work. And also the nice thing is like, I don't feel like I'm quote unquote wasting time at work. And I say that because there's this fear of like, I'm going to sit down and try and start coding and spend 8 hours trying to do something, make no progress. My boss is going to say, what'd you do today? And I'll say, I failed
made a Tootsie Roll game.
Yeah, I made a Tootsie Roll game. Do you want to play it? So I felt like I had the basics to be able to do something. And we were hit with a problem in our team, which was we have an in-person lab and we have multiple rooms in there. And we're all actually returning to office at Microsoft. That recently happened. And so people are starting to use the labs again. And we're starting to butt heads about who gets what room. I want to make sure I have it at this time. There wasn't an easy way for us to schedule this. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this is an example where I could try to build something that might be kind of functional. Like I could build some kind of simple booking app that we could use. I normally would put an Excel together for something like this, but I figured, let's see if I can go and build something. And I, honestly, much to my surprise, in about an hour, I'll open up here what I did. In about an hour, I vibe coded, as the cool kids are saying.
I love that while you pull it up, I love that you're using this like high technology for something that we consider in research to be pretty old school, like people in a lab.
I know.
Yeah, such a contradiction.
I know it's pretty funny. And so I put together, and like I said, this took me maybe an hour or so, this calendar booking app. And so what I'm sharing here, just I feel like I'm obligated to say, this is a copy of the app. I made a version specifically for this recording where these are all fake names. These aren't real people. But this is an app that I built, like I said, in about an hour that you can go in, and we have our rooms here. It's personalized to our team. This is our team is called Cater, CoreAI Design and Research. So this is our logo up here. Anyone can go in here and click on and say, all right, I want to book lab 2 at 3:00. My name's Daniel. I'm going to book the room. And simple as that, I got the room. So it was a really simple thing, but it's something our team needed. And what was so exciting about this was like, not only the fact that I got this solved in a day, but like this is the type of thing that in the past, if we really wanted to do this, we would have asked for money so that we can purchase a third-party tool. We would have asked our engineering team to do it, and who knows how long that would take. But this is something that like I found a need unique to our team and was able to solve it immediately. So like this was like super empowering. This was the moment where I was like, oh, in ResearchOps, I can do a lot now. What's really fun about this, look, for me, honestly, like for ResearchOps and anything that I do, like I get real joy when you can add little things to amuse yourself. And if you can amuse yourself in your job, hopefully you can amuse other people and make other people enjoy what you're building too. So like I added in here, since I knew now that I could make games, if you hit like a little Easter egg, shift and click on our logo.
That is
I made this little
so cool.
A little game for our team. That's our team logo. We talk about you need to get deep data to learn more. So you get your deep data, then you get power. So like this is such a stupid little thing to be able to do. And like, if I, a year ago had told my boss that I built a video game on top of the calendar app, that would have been like, what are you doing with your time? But this was like, yeah, I did that in, barely any time. I did that over lunch. I did after work. And like, it's a fun thing to be able to do. And so you can really make these little personal touches that not only make it fun to use, but also like, that's an example of something fun. You can make these really hyper specific things for your team that are really helpful.
You're going to be inspiring all the res tech vendors to include little arcade Easter eggs in their
I hope
platforms.
So. that would make it so great.
I hope that 2027 is the year of arcade Easter eggs.
Oh my God, that would bring me so much joy. I need to figure out more little games I can be putting into each of these. I have like little win screens, and I tell the team, hey, first person to win who can actually find the game and win the game, send me a picture. So the next thing, once I now figured out like, oh, I can be building these things, your mind starts going about like, what else can you build and where else can you be using this? So like I could use it to build an app. I could use it to create the specific function for our team. But I next went to, could I use this for a presentation? So something that I have to do in research operations, which I know many of you struggle with in research operations too, is like, I have to justify our budget and explain how our team works to our finance team and to leadership. And it's always a scary thing because like, obviously it's extremely important for us all to be able to maintain our budget and get the tools that we need. But how do you explain what you do, and how do you explain why it's important? How do you explain the impact? And we often talk about like both research operations, but UXRs are force multipliers, right? Like it's not just like a researcher does a study, learns one thing, and then they're the one person who knows this one thing. It's like, no, if they do it right, they're driving impact for a whole team of product makers. And they can then have all this influence, and they can all learn together. There's a reason that we want to talk to many different customers. And you don't want to just talk to one, but how do you visualize like, yeah, this is a big budget, but we talk to so many different people. So I was talking about this with my boss, and we were talking about all the different, like how we wish we could visualize it and explore it. And it was like, okay, well, what if we code this instead of just putting in PowerPoint? Let's explain what we want to put together. And with that, I put together this presentation. And once again, I feel obligated to say this is dummy data. So like, this isn't real people, this isn't real numbers, but these are what I put together for this. And this was a visualization we put together of like, hey, first of all, who does our UX research team support? Like, how many product managers do we support? Who are the teams? What are the different product areas? And we wanted like a visualization that we could engage with and really spend more time with. But the important thing isn't just that like we support this many product managers, it's how does our team work? And so we put it in so it's like, okay, there's a research bridge. and we have this many researchers that we support full-time, this many people that we support in outside teams, and they're all connected to our product managers. And they're all sitting here, they're working with them. And so this, this one person is helping all of these people in here. And that's why it's so critical that we keep, Jade here, whatever it is. But Jade and all these researchers, they're not just working with the product managers, they're making connections and direct connections with our researchers. So then or with our customers. So then I added this layer in here about who are the customers. And this was kind of our big vision that we had, is we wanted to be able to pull together, like, these are all real customers. And we talked to this many. You can say I talked to, I think the number here is, over 1,800. You can say talk to over 1,800 customers. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. But when you can see them all here, it's really impactful to see, okay, these are all customers. And these all represent real people that we talk to. And then we're talking about budget. We want to say why it's so important that maybe we have, like, say, 5 different recruiting agencies. So the next part of here is saying, like, hey, this is how we get these customers. This is how we pull them together. And it visualizes, like, we got this many from this agency, this many from this agency. That's why we paid so much over here. That's what's so critical about this. And then we even had this set up where you could go, and each of these, like I said, they weren't just fake numbers like this presentation is, but these weren't originally. And it shows, like, this customer comes from this agency, this came from this agency. And at the presentation I had, you could even click on these guys and it would pull up the customer and even a video of that customer to really make it tactile and real, to be like, these are real people. This is what we're actually doing here. And then we pulled it all together at the end by saying, okay, and the impact of all of this. And we made this presentation something that we could hand to them and they can engage with. And it shows all the different product areas and some example studies that you could do, what it was, why it mattered. Each of these open up a link and you can actually look at the studies and the impact of it. So instead of just saying, like, yeah, we need X amount of money because we need this many customers, we wanted something that was really breaking the script and memorable and really told the whole story visually, so you felt the impact of what we were doing.
So I'm assuming, considering all of this data is fake data, that this data is AI generated as well to create such a high fidelity prototype.
Yes.
It's like a meta example of AI building.
It's a very meta example. And I'm not even probably touching on all the AI parts of it from within. So, like, obviously this, yes, all the data, all the names, all the study titles, all of this is just AI generated. But then, of course, when I, put this together in the first place, I had a Word document that I had my team. I said, hey, we want to show impactful studies. Here are the different areas we want. Drop links to the studies and the title of them. And if you have a paragraph about why it mattered, put it in there. I then fed that doc through AI because it was too much. Everyone wrote a whole bunch and said, hey, I need you to distill this down to one sentence. Some people didn't write anything. Say, okay, well, read the report. You give me a sentence here and structure it, make it look nice and all of that, where it's like, I can have a general idea of what I want it to look like, but I don't need to be super specific. It will come up with the visual style and then I can then iterate on it. So, like, for example, this visual here took me a little bit to get to. It wasn't right away, but I had a general description of how I wanted to see all the customers surrounding the PMs, and I wanted to have researchers somewhere in the middle, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted. So I gave this, like, long description of the story I was trying to tell, the general visual. And then I think I told it, like, make me 10 different versions, all unique, make the 10th one wild and totally crazy and something I wouldn't think about. And then I went through all of them and it was like, okay, 3, 4, and 5 are really on the line I want. Let's go on that. And we kind of kept iterating together, as weird as it is to say, on those versions until we got to the version that I really liked.
Have you ever heard of, I think his name's David McCandless, and he's an information designer. He's got some really beautiful books. I think one is called Information is Beautiful, something like that. I'll put it into show notes. But it strikes me seeing this, I'm sure that anyone watching this has just kind of gasped a few times at how incredible it is. But it strikes me that having, although the AI is designing with us, having examples of really beautiful design to be able to show it and say, hey, could you do something like this would be really helpful. Because I assume, you tell me, how has this landed with your audience, with the leadership? Has it made an impact yet?
Yes, it was well received in 2 ways. All of this is to be kind of meta, right? You mentioned it's meta with AI, making AI for an example of how you built something with AI. So it was impactful because, one, it's like, oh, I understand how you are using the tools. I understand how many customers you have and what this means. So the actual goal of it really stuck. But also the fact that this was built with AI was also impactful. Like, oh, we can do this now. This is something that we can do. So like I presented this to my team partially so they could see our budget stuff, but partially as also inspiration of like, hey, let's start building our presentations this way. It's easier and you can do a lot more. So this has been a more impactful than I expected presentation, both in terms of like the actual goals about understanding our team, but also as like a demonstration of like, hey, we can do a lot visually with AI.
This limited series is brought to you by Strela, the AI-powered customer research platform. We're taking a short pause to hear from Strela's co-founder, Priya Krishnan, and her perspective on this conversation.
Hi, I'm Priya Krishnan, one of the founders of Strela, and we are an end-to-end AI customer research platform. We use AI to help you come up with the right questions to ask, then run voice-based AI-moderated interviews and synthesize the results instantly. You can think of us as this trusted research partner that takes you from question to insight, developing, running, and analyzing real customer interviews in just a few days rather than weeks. There's one design choice in Daniel's research library that I think is quietly the most important thing in this whole conversation. He built a central place for all of his team's research, and he did not ask a single research to change how they work in order to make it happen. People were posting studies in GitHub, in Teams, in Figma, in Word docs scattered everywhere. Instead of mandating, now everyone needs to change their workflows and use this new repository, he built something that goes and pulls the research from where it actually lives. At Strela, we have the same mentality. All too often, an executive asks a question that might have already been answered with research that was done weeks ago, but got stuck in the research tool. This isn't a research problem, but rather it's a distribution problem. And this is why we built our Cloud Connector, as well as our API to allow users to access Strela where they work and where it's most convenient for them, because that's where business decisions are actually being made, just like in Daniel's case. So Daniel solved the problem at the back end, gathering research that already exists without asking anyone to change. We're solving it at the front end, making good research exist in the first place without the manual lift.
Thanks, Priya. Find out more about Strela at strela.io. Back to the episode. I know that you had one other thing to share, which goes back to the personal story.
Yes. So let me open that up. So I want to share this, and then I also want to share what this then led to from a work perspective. So this here is called Steve Gottlieb's Deep Sky. And so Steve Gottlieb is my dad, and he is an amateur astronomer, and he has spent my whole life observing objects in the sky, taking very detailed notes. Literally after school every day, I'd see him on his computer typing, putting these notes in, and he has this database of over 24,000 observations that he's well known in the astronomy community for, but it's in this like really old database. And I realized like, hey, now with AI, I might be able to help get this into a format that's easier to explore, that's easier to share. And so we talked about it. And one weekend when he was visiting, I said, hey, can we build something like this? So I actually sat him down, hit record on my computer, and interviewed him about his database for like an hour, about what he did, why he did it, why it was something that other astronomers like to look at, how he'd like to use it, what he'd like a website to be. I took that transcript and I put it all into VS Code. And then, of course, gave my own instructions about what I wanted to do with it, asked him for instructions about what we wanted to do with it, and then put together this website that didn't come out this nice at first, but this website where we could go and learn about my dad, but also explore his database. So you click here and you can go into basically this database search where you can look up any object, search the catalogs, all these details, which if you are in astronomy, this will make sense to you. It doesn't quite to me. But what was really fun about this too was like, once my dad saw what we could actually build, he got really excited and he was like, oh, well, I want to change this. Let's add this here. Let's do this. He's now calling me every other night or so with new edits and changes. So like this was something here where he was like, well, can we link it to this other site that has visuals for every location that I have? And we were able to put this together. So it was a really cool experience. One, I got to learn what my dad's been doing like every day, which I never quite grasped. It was a way to take his like life's work and visualize it. But also, and this is kind of where I was getting with the video game, like this was something really fun for me to do. But in doing this, I was like, oh, this is how I make a website. This is how I build a database. This is how I put it in the right format. It was something that I was really happy to be doing late at night because it was a fun project with my dad, but then it gave me a ton of skills, which weren't that crazy hard to learn, so that I could build something for the team. So a week after I built this website, I was in a meeting where our research team was presenting some really cool customer research to our design team. And one of the designers said, hey, where do I go to get all the researchers' studies? And where can I go find other research I want to learn more about? And there's this kind of pause, and no one could give a good answer because, of course, we have, like, there are some research repositories at Microsoft, but some of our researchers use it, some don't. There's like an email listserv that some people use and some don't. People share research in a lot of different ways. Some just make Word docs that they send to their team. Some put their stuff in the Teams app. Some people make Figma files and make PowerPoints. And there wasn't a central location for it all. But what I did know is that for tracking purposes, our team, everybody at least documents when they do a study in GitHub. And there's a link to the report if they have one in the GitHub project. It's not something that's easy for people to go and find and use and search, but it's at least a place where we could track it so we could know when studies are coming up or ending. But I realized that now that I know how to build this website, it'd be something that I could build for this purpose as well. So what I did is I built this website for our team. And what was really cool about what is really cool about it is it pulls together all the research reports that people are sharing, even though they're sharing them in many different ways. So like I said, people are sharing them in many different venues. There's not a single place beforehand that they were all located, but this pulls them all, puts them into this website, and it didn't require the researchers to change a thing, because I did not want to say, all right, I'm going to build a website. Good news, everyone. You're going to have this new website that has all the research, but you got to do all this extra work to get it there. No one would want to do it. And also, I'd have to prove this is valuable before they'd want to put in that effort. So they didn't have to change their way of working. It scrubs the research. Once again, this is just dummy data that AI made, but this is what the website looks like, where you can go in and you can see all of the different research studies that are there. You can use it. I built AI on top of it where you can ask it about the research and it will give you a report about what research is done. I worked really hard to make sure that the AI was not a definitive answer. And the function of this is not to tell you what you want to know about a topic. It's not like, I want to know, if our customers like our new feature. That's not the point. It's about what research is done on this new feature. So it will give you, even if you ask, do customers like this, yes or no, it'll say, this is the research that's been done. Here's the evidence that exists. Here's the evidence that's missing. Here's where the evidence is thin. Click here to learn more, and then links you to the studies. I really didn't want this to be something that people take advantage of is the wrong word, but use in a poorly used without
becomes a bias machine.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want this because it really easily could do that. So I worked really hard to make sure the results give it in a way that is really prompting to learn more. And let's see if I can open any of these. Here we go. Yeah. So it's also set that, it's funny, I've made some edits to this since I originally made it, but it has the researchers up top, and there's normally actually a place where it says, you have questions, like, want to learn more, click here to send a message on Teams or email the researcher. So we're really trying to get the researcher. It's like, if you want to learn more, this is who you talk to. So this is where you can find it. This is where you can learn about it, but this is who you talk to about it. As you probably picking up from the way I've been talking about all the stuff I do, I was like, okay, how can we have fun with this? I did want to make it so you could edit the page. So if a researcher's like, Taylor is in here, this made up Taylor, and they're like, hey, this is not a good summary of the background, they can go click edit the page. And if they put in the right password, they can then edit it and make some changes to themselves. So it's easy for them to do. They feel empowered to do it. I don't have to be weighed down by that. I did make it, if you put the wrong password in, I have my own little Jurassic Park Easter egg in here. So it's like, once again, it's so easy to build. You can do these fun little things that otherwise would have been such a waste of time. But now it doesn't take that much time to do. I also have built an automation for this. So it's automating and pulling the data in here regularly. So it's not this heavy lift on my end, but it's a central place for everybody.
That is, I mean, it's all incredible stuff. There's a few things that pop out for me is you mentioned with your dad getting in touch with you on a nightly basis almost to ask for things, additional features as he learns the capabilities of what you can do. And a number of people have said that they've built things and similarly their internal stakeholders have gone, oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible. And so then they're like, well, we want more of this or we want you to tweak that. Have you found that your job, not just as a son, but as a as a ResearchOps, a head of ResearchOps, has changed as you've built more of this functionality?
Absolutely. I mean, it's changed a ton in the last 6 months, and I would put a bet that if I were to look at where I am 6 months from now, it's going to change even more. When we spent a lot of time before, like really putting the right effort into understanding all of the field of different tools and options we have for people, both for like what we want to purchase or what's available already and how to give the right guidance. It's so much easier now to build for ourselves. But yes, that means you have to be then changing it and updating it. I think, and something I'm learning too is like there's a bit of an explosion. I'm not even showing everything. I built a bunch of other little things, some useful, some a little dinky, some not. And you need to be careful with it because like you need to be able to follow through and keep it up or else there's no point in doing it. So it needs to be simple enough that there's no changes that need to be made or, yeah, I'm committed to this one. The library, I am committed to that one. I'm going to be continuing to edit that and make it as good as possible because I think it has huge impact and potential. To get back to your question though, yes, I think there's going to be more time that I spend and that others in our role are going to be spending editing and changing this. But I think that's perfectly natural. And that means that we can make the best tools and products for everybody. I mean, there's less time being spent on some other things like documentation, right? I mean, so for some of the documentation, for some of the tools that I've been building, some of them that are more like they're actual AI tools where it's like somebody can use it to build their own AI app, let's say, like building a skill so that somebody can use that skill to learn how to upload what they built onto a browser. I need to give instructions on how to do that. The way you make instructions on how to do that is you go into the AI and say, all right, now that you've built this, write up instructions on how to use it. And man, it can make some really good instructions. And I know that's scary because a lot of our job is writing these good instructions, but it makes great instructions there. Some people don't even want instructions anymore because they're like, yeah, I'll ask AI to explain it to me, or just make sure everything's in markdown file format that I can search it and ask it these things. So certain things that was the bigger part of our job is going away. But the good news is now there's all these opportunities to build things like this. So these are parts of the job that I think it's important for us to pick up since they're there for us right now.
We've been on a sort of a road from administration and support to system and service design over the last few years as a profession, as research operations. And I feel that this has catapulted many people straight into systems design, which if you happen to be a systems designer and someone who wants to be creative, that's a fantastic place to be. Do you see, this is a bit of a leading question. The researchers will be going, no, Kate, that's not how you ask a question. But how do you see your team changing? So, if you as a head of ResearchOps and you're doing systems design, and then the people around you and the people you would hire into your team in the next 6 to 1 year, who knows, 6 to 12 months, do you see the types of skills you'll be hiring changing?
Yes. I mean, and the skills that we're training the team for today are changing too. Like we're making a big effort to upskill the people that are in the team right now, all about being able to build for yourself and for others, right? So I've said this about our research team before, and I think this is the case for a lot of research teams. I obviously do research ops for the researchers, but I think a lot of what they do is also research ops for the PMs. Because they're empowering PMs to learn either by doing research on their own or learning together with them. So our researchers, everything I just shared, they're doing the same thing for their PMs. They're building ways for the PMs to learn, whether it's making ways for the PMs to do studies or to really better interact with their own data. I have a researcher on the team who, like for his study, when it was done, he built this really awesome website that you can go and click, watch videos of the customer, click to learn more, ask questions about it. What a cool way to engage with the data. And he built that. I have another one who built basically like a research, like a way for his PMs to ask questions about all the studies and ask like, okay, can you help me find quotes on this? Where do we see this? And they can engage with the research in that way. I have another researcher right now who's building something on making it easier for PMs to be able to find customers on their own. So they're all doing this type of thing, and it's allowing them to empower those around them. So I definitely see this exact same skill being critical for all researchers as we're trying, because a researcher should not be holding on to that information for themselves. That's not the point. It is all about empowering others around you. That slide I showed at the very beginning about the few researchers around all of the PMs, if those few researchers want to drive impact on all of those PMs, if they have these tools now that they can build to make it easier for the PMs to engage, to interact, they're going to be that much more successful. So I think the successful researchers are going to be able to need to be able to build tools like this on their own as well.
Something I've heard quite a lot is researchers who are also vibe coding, as you're saying, solutions, websites, tools, all sorts of things to help them have more impact across the organization and to automate parts of their work. And the thing that keeps coming through is, hang on a second, I'm spending like 6 hours of my day vibe coding things and maintaining things and tweaking things. And I've only got a few hours left in the day for, if that, to actually do the research. And the second thing that keeps coming through is, and there's all these things that we're all making, and we don't have any way of organizing any of it or knowing when it's archived or how to make it sort of more stable than just on my local drive. So are you experiencing that? And second part to that sort of question is, do you foresee that your role becomes the sort of custodian or the librarian of all these vibe-coded things, curator?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that, right? Where people are just, it's the Wild West, right? It's everyone is creating different things, and it's you're not sure where they are, where they live, how they are maintained. It's like the internet boom, right? It's just like suddenly all these different things are popping up, and it's definitely a huge opportunity for ops, I'd say, to be able to find a way to better track this, keep them in one location, have it easier for people to build them, but also track and build off of each other. Building off of each other is huge. And our team is getting better at that right now, where it's like, oh, you built this awesome thing. I love it, but I want to do a slightly different version for myself. I know where to find what you did. I know how to do that. I know how to build off of it. And then you can see what I built. So we're starting to build some systems in there. I would say it's a huge opportunity for ops to be able to do. Interestingly enough, I would say right now we're seeing the same way that multiple people are building apps or features all at once, multiple people are building ways to track it all at once. And so we'll see which makes the most sense. But like I said, I got a little late in the game. Like my team was definitely ahead of me at first about like, there are people who are building faster and further. And some of those people have already said, hey, I see a lot of you are building stuff. I have a really easy solution for us all to save it in here. I would say in ops, it's my job to now explore that and be like, yes, I think this is going to work for the team, or there's 3 different versions of this. Which do we want to recommend to everybody? Or this works great for your team. I think it's going to be different for our team. So I think at the end of the day, the onus falls on the ops person to make sure that it's you can recommend a certain way that's going to work for the team and also legally and from a security perspective compliant, which that's a whole nother conversation about how AI can just easily skip over some of those big safety checks. So as ops, it's our job to make sure we're not skipping those. We have a place that works. It's clearly communicated. So a long-winded way of saying, yes, I think it's going to be ops' responsibility, but I'm right now seeing everybody actually take responsibility for it because everybody sees it as the problem. And right now, everybody is a builder. So everybody has the opportunity to come up with a solution here.
Yeah, so fascinating. It is that an oversupply of builders, and so you need the one foreman, basically.
Yes.
I'm going to take charge of the site, and you can all build, but we also need to think about the greater building that we're trying to build.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've also seen different teams, like I'm giving one version of a team right now of how this works. I've seen teams that are like, everybody build, we'll figure it out, go wild. And I have other teams that are like, slow down, we are going to have a lot more control over the building and we don't want to have this problem. And we're going to almost like assign it, or you have to go through these processes before you can do it. So there is no agreed upon process, and it's probably for different companies and for different groups certain strategies would work well, certain strategies wouldn't work well. So I've seen, I guess is one way of saying, I've seen some ops people really take hold and say like, no, I'm not going to let this get out of control. I'm going to make sure it goes tight and then we grow from it, versus other ops people are like, yeah, let's get big and then we can start trimming it down and controlling it after we see what we can do.
As a final question, what is the one thing, say, someone's listening and they are you a year ago, I think it was probably about a year ago, sitting on the sidelines going, I'm not a developer and I really don't know how to use these tools. Now you've got like the Tootsie Roll game and you've got your astronomy website and you've got some really serious things like the UX repository /library/chat tool. Someone said to me yesterday, I don't even know what to call this thing anymore. The names for them no longer make sense. And calendars and various things that you've built. What is the one bit of advice you would give to someone like that?
I would say, can I give two?
They're
really
two,
related.
Yeah.
Things are changing so fast that whatever you felt discouraged with or you felt you couldn't do before, that doesn't mean anything today, right? If you tried something a month ago and you're like, oh, this is impossible because it's too hard, or I don't understand the tools, or the technology isn't there, where we are today is completely different than we were a month ago. By the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be completely different. So I would say, going forward, never say, oh, it can't do this, because if you haven't tried in a couple of weeks, maybe it can. And the other thing I would say is find something for you to learn on and try that is fun for you. That's not, that isn't a chore. Building the Tootsie game, building the website for my dad, those were just fun. And when we ran into roadblocks, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so behind in work. I wasn't worried that like I'm going to look like a fool in front of my really technical partners who are building these awesome things because I'm trying to build something I can't. I'm not going to look like a fool in front of my dad. He's not worried about if my website doesn't look that great. You know what I mean? He'd be proud of me no matter what I do. It's a very low bar, right? So like if you do the same with my kids, I said I make a video game. If it's a stick man, they're going to be thrilled it's a video game. So like you make something that you don't feel that pressure and you can have fun with it. And those were the things that like really taught me and empowered me. And that's what I'd say to everyone else. Find the things you want to do that are fun, because once you just start playing in it, like you can learn from that. That's how you can get yourself to get to the next stage. I'd even say like we've had some conversations internally where people are saying, I wish I could build with AI and learn, but I don't have time and I don't want to spend my weekends doing this. I'm just burnt out. I spent my weekends building the website and the game, but it was like, I'm choosing to do this. I'd prefer to do this than
and energizing,
watch TV.
I imagine. Yeah.
Like that changes things. And so it doesn't feel like you're working over the weekend, you're having fun.
Yeah, such good advice. And I was thinking earlier when you said, people building on top of other things, there might be some people who go, I don't want a Tootsie Roll game. I want like a game for my cat or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's so fun to be able to do your own personal one that means something.
Maybe a
to
request for you to GitHub your game so people can fork it. And
yeah. And then you can just go in there and just, I don't even know how you do it, but you tell the code to say, I want this to look like this cat. Here's a picture of it. And I'm telling you, it can do it. And it's amazing.
So good. Daniel, it is always such a pleasure. Thank you for being so generous in your time, just preparing all these prototypes with the fake AI. I can imagine it didn't take that long.
I was going to say, you're thanking me, but it was pretty dang quick.
Yeah, pretty impressive. But thank you very much for doing that and for sharing and also inspiring.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a ton of fun.
Thanks for listening to How to AI UXR. This series was produced by the ResearchOps Review and sponsored by Strella, the AI-powered customer research platform. Find the How to AI UXR map in the show notes. The map details how research professionals worldwide are augmenting UXR at the crawl, walk, and run levels of complexity.